All right, guys. Happy Wednesday. It's middle of the week, so that means we're almost there. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining this week's webinar. Again, my name is Ellis, and I will be going over a couple useful things for us this week. We are now using this GoToMeeting platform. We found that it's going to be the best to accommodate everyone, both vendors and agencies, since we do webinars for both. If you have previously subscribed to the webinar on our GovQuote homepage, they are now going to be done per webinar. So we'll keep you guys notified when a new webinar is coming out at the start of each week, and we'll have that for you, send you guys out a new link and everything like that. So just to let you guys know again, each session is recorded. So you can always find it on our YouTube channel. Just search GovQuote, GovQuote. You'll be able to see this webinar as well as all of our previous webinars that we have done. We are also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, again, GovQuote. So, please go and follow us. We put out updates about our platform, success stories, everything like that on those couple platforms. So please go like and subscribe to them. And again, the YouTube channel as well, where we will put all the webinars up if you ever need to go back to them. So this week's topic, we're going to be going over how, we can help you with your requests, going over locations and making sure you're hitting all the right vendors, managing your categories, and also a couple things in the settings I want to go back and touch on just to help you guys out with your requests. We want you to have the most success here on GovQuote, so anything that we can do to help you guys, we will do our best to do. There is a chat on here where you can just ask a little question, and you can ask them throughout the webinar, but I'll be getting to them at the end just so I can get through everything. And then at the end of the webinar is when I'll be able to answer all the questions. So, feel free to chat us any questions you may have throughout the webinar. But I guess I will just get started. So right here on my page, I already have a published request. I just wanted to show you guys, again, how the requests look when it is published, how you guys can start to get quotes in, how to respond to vendors when they have submitted a quote to you, kind of just the whole page of that. But so what I'm going to do is once you log in, you will always be brought to that published page. You'll know you're on the published when it has the published highlighted in blue. And you'll also see the current open requests that your agency has posted. So this, for example, is just for HP Chromebooks. Again, we use our test site so I can show you guys all the cool features we have on here. So we have just a request out here for some HP Chromebooks. It was published today. You'll see your title, now the categories. So just to kind of go over categories and how they work, we use the United Nations Standard Products and Service Codes. We felt that those codes hit both services and products to the best of their abilities. That way, there's a broad amount of categories out there to choose from, and the best way to search them is by using keywords. So on here, you can see it says the categories. We selected computers for Chromebooks, and any vendor that signs up on GovQuote selects a category based on what they service or sell. And then they also select the state. They can even narrow it down to just the county that they can sell or service to. So this request is only going to be notifying vendors that sell computers, number one, and who also have your area selected. So maybe if you're looking for a service, like let's say roof repair, and you're located in South Florida, someone who might be in, the panhandle of Florida, Georgia, is not going to be getting your request. Their locations are going to be set more towards South Florida or to North Florida or wherever they are located. So right now there isn't a way to narrow it down by saying I only want vendors within a certain mile radius of me, but you are able to see that within the categories you have selected. You are also more than welcome to put that in your description, but it is a feature we look to add going forward. So now that I've gone over the categories, you can see there's a full description. 1 out of 5 quotes have been received. And now you can see your quotes will appear on the left-hand side. So as you can see, this company, when they signed up, they're technically a small business. They're in a veteran-owned business as well. So you are able to see that. And then you're also able to see where they are located. You can see that they're located in Deerfield Beach, Florida. So if you click on this, it shows you the total price of what that quote is for. You can see that they entered in a chat as well. And then they even uploaded that quote on a PDF. If you're seeing that vendors are just putting a total price up here and not sending you a quote, please feel free to send them a message. So on the quote page, please feel free to send them a message if you don't see that in there. All you need to do is just type a message and it's all synced up with your email. So how that works is when you publish a request, an email notification gets sent out to all those vendors that fall underneath that category. And also when they respond to you, whether it's with a question or with a quote, you will be email notified on that as well. So you don't have to be logged in 24/7 to start receiving quotes. As long as you have your email notifications open, you will get those in. So that is how you can go about chatting with the vendors. So how to award it? Let's say you're like, great, I love this quote, I'm ready to go ahead. All you do is click this big blue select as best quote. That awards it to the vendor. And then from there, you can message them and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and cut the PO next week. I need your W-9 or I need you to register on our website. Anything that the vendor may need, feel free to chat them. You still have that chat open. And again, everything that you put in the chat, the minute you publish your request, will be in the audit record. So we encourage you to do so. But let's hold on and wait a minute. Let's say that you have a vendor that you currently work with. So what I did was I just clicked back on where it said HP Chromebooks. And I'm going to go and show you guys now how to share this with your current vendor. And what you do is you just click the share request button. And once you click that button, a box will pop up with a link and a couple different icons. So with this link, you're able to send this to your current vendors and say, hey, we've bought Chromebooks from you before. Is there any way you can go ahead and submit a quote for it, but on GovQuote instead? And that way, they'll be able to quote you on here. You'll have it documented in the audit record, and all your quotes will be in one centralized place, what makes it really easy to keep track of everything. So next, I'm going to click Done. And now let's say you are ready to award. So just like I was explaining earlier, what you can do is you just go back into the request that you were planning to work on. Once you click on it, you will start to see a big blue button. And in this blue button, it states select as best quote. So you'll go ahead and click select as best quote. Yes, select as best quote. And it will appear as awarded. And again, once you've clicked awarded, you can go and type any messages you'd like, and it will all be documented in that audit record. Now, where does it go once you've awarded? You go back into My Requests. You'll be able to select Awarded. and then you'll be able to click on Chromebooks, and it'll show right there in the big green that it has been awarded. Again, guys, don't forget to ask any questions. If I'm going too fast, please, submit a question in there, and I'll make sure to get to it at the end. So now that I've showed you what it looks like to publish a request and award a request, and even share it with your current vendors, which is really great to do, I now want to show you a couple of things in the Settings tab. So you'll go into Settings, and then you have a couple fields right here. You have My Profile, which will show your name, job title, phone number, the email address you have on file. Next, you have My Agency, and in this area, you're able to add in your terms and conditions. So these terms and conditions can be, specific to your agency. You can add in vendor registration forms, your tax exempt forms, anything that a vendor might need before quoting you that they need to understand about your agency. Please feel free to add that in there. That way, before a vendor can even submit a quote to you, they have to agree to these terms and conditions. And if you add in any additional files, they will also be able to be found again if the vendor ever needs to go back and reference them. So we always encourage you guys to add in those terms and conditions as well. Next, we have custom fields. This tool is really great. So typically when you go to request a quote, it's just a giant box for a description. And sometimes you might forget a model number or a part. You might forget quantity, things like that. You're not really thinking of it. So you can create these custom fields. And these custom fields, instead of just having one big box, you'll have different line items that you can just plug into. So I'm going to add a couple in here and show you what that looks like in your request. So I'm just going to add one, model, and it's super easy, quantity. And you can change these from different types. You can have choices, checkboxes, currency, address, multiple lines, even a date. I think the best is the text single line. Up to you on how you would like to create that. Let's say your agency has multiple users. These are great to have because they help your requests be uniform. Also, if you wanted to keep track of what department is doing what, you can also create a custom field that says department. You can even have it as checkboxes where you can enter in everyone's department's name. You can have it as a blank so they just fill out what department they're in. And that way everyone can see, who's getting a request for quote on what, and you'll know what department it's actually coming from. So I just added 2 in here just to, give you an idea of what it would look like. So going back to my requests, if I go ahead and click publish, I will see them on the right-hand side. And these on the right-hand side are optional. So let's say you're looking for a service, you might not have a model number or a quantity. You might want to add in a custom field that says site location or job walk scheduled. Things like that. They are optional, so depending on what you're looking for, it can be used throughout. So those are just always there to help you. Again, where you can find them is clicking your name and then going into settings, and it's underneath the custom fields tab. You can always go back to edit them as well as delete them. And then next you have the users tab. We always encourage you to invite any other users that do request for quotes on GovQuote. That way, let's say someone's out of the office, another user can log in, check on the request they have they had posted, and see what quotes have come back. So you don't have to wait maybe the week or 2 that person's out. It's also a really great training tool. So if you do add anyone else into your agency, you can say, look, this is the system we're using. This is what we've bought in the past, and this is who we went with, maybe for how much. You'll have those audit records that you can always go back to. It is, again, another great training tool to have, and just another tool to have in your toolbox. So that, in a sense, is what we wanted to go over with this week's webinar. It was a pretty short one. I hope it gave you guys a lot of information. So now we want you guys to ask any questions you may have, and I'll be able to answer them for the group. So I'll just give everyone just a minute or two to submit something, and we'll go from there. So we got a question in, and they were asking, what if I have terms and conditions on my request, and a vendor has already quoted me, but now I have to update my terms and conditions. I have something else to add or maybe to change. The vendor actually gets a notification saying that they have to re-accept the terms and conditions. They get a notification that you have updated them. So the vendors do know that. And that way, once they've re-accepted your terms and conditions, then you'd be able to award that request to them if you do decide to award it to that vendor or any of those vendors there. So you can change your terms and conditions, and the vendors are notified about those changes you do make. They have to re-accept your terms and conditions that you have newly updated. So we got another great question in here. Someone asked, what if I only want to, reach out to my local vendors if I publish a request? Like I was saying earlier, once you submit a request for quote, it gets sent out to every vendor that's in that category. We do encourage you to invite your local vendors on there with that share request button. And that way you'll reach new vendors that are potentially in your local area, as well as your current vendors that you work with today. All right, guys. Well, I just wanted to say thanks again so much for joining us today. This will be posted on our YouTube channel, GovQuote. So GovQuote. We also post on our Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Same username, GovQuote. We post out all of our new updates on there. Everything that's kind of going on can be found there. Nice tips and tricks on there as well. So we do really appreciate you guys for joining us today, and looking forward to you guys joining us further in the future.